Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ron Jeremy. Sir, how are you?
It's great to be here. And nobody calls me sir, but thank you for that. You're in Edmonton, Canada.
I'm in
And what
Edmonton,
people don't
Canada.
know is two bands use my name as code bands. Like Cinderella did it a couple of times. And then Alanis Morissette, I think, had a drummer who used the name Ron Jeremy. But the best known one was from NSYNC, Joey Fatone.
Joey Fatone, okay.
So Joe, you got to hear this. You got to hear this. So Joey Fatone was using my name as his name, and no one ever knew it. And it wasn't working because the girls were calling up anyway. I'd be lying down in bed sleeping. We were doing the Edmonton nightclub. I was doing a comedy show, and down the block, NSYNC was doing an arena.
Right.
This is right at the height of their success. So I'm getting the crowd this big. They're getting the crowd this big. But I had a good crowd, and it worked out great. And so then at night, late at night, I get these phone calls. Hi, Joey. Are you free tonight? My name is Ron. Yeah, sure. Listen, Joey. No. My name really is Ron. Yeah, you're killing me. Come on. It's okay. Want me to come by? How old are you? 17. Son of a bitch. And it's the funniest thing. And she wouldn't. And other girls are calling around the clock. Wow. And so I wrote a letter. Oh, man, you're going to miss it. You got to get the punchline. Come back here, you.
Can't miss the goods.
You got to get the Dante.
We lost Dante. Well, I'm still listening. I'm right here with you, Ron.
I write a letter first thing in the morning, because I realized what was happening. And
right.
I got calls all night from him. He was getting calls from my family and girls I was going out with who are over 18.
Yes.
So in any case, I wrote him a letter. Dearest Joe, I love the great press I'm getting because it got a lot of media attention. That Joe uses Ron Jeremy's name as a code name. And I said, I love the attention, love the media. I'm going to want to catch your act sometimes. I like to see you guys perform. You're great. And so love and kisses, Ron, the real Ron Jeremy. And then I said, P.S., call your cousin Sue from Alberta. She wants to talk to you. That's a message for him.
You had a couple messages for him.
Right. He had a lot of my messages. I was getting his messages. You got this, Dante?
Yeah, I'm listening.
You picked a terrible time to leave. You missed the punchline. Howard Stern took the story. The National Enquirer took the story. I don't think they had the TMZ at the time. And Time Magazine, Millennium issue.
Wow.
The Millennium last page. Wow. I said, here's a cute story. And it did the story of how he impersonated me. Is that great?
Unbelievable.
Then me and Joey met in person, shook hands, sucked dick, went on to the next guy.
Whoa, you didn't include that part in the first version.
Once if you were paying attention, that's all.
Oh, I'm paying attention.
How are you?
Yeah. You wouldn't want me to just nod through that.
That part I made up.
Exactly. Yeah, we got
really
to get
the
that.
Millennium issue. No, I'm kidding. That's what. That part I made up. Which part? Where it was a Millennium issue.
Yeah, the Millennium issue, not the blowjob.
The second part is the. Can we say that what this medium is? We could say dick sucking.
You can. That's the beauty of this podcast. You can say whatever you feel, and that's why we have Mr. Ron Jeremy. And Ron, speaking of,
I'm usually pretty clean. I'm pretty savvy. You can ask Dante. He travels with me, and I'm pretty clean. I don't really do a lot of cursing, right?
Right. You don't do drugs. You don't drink. You don't curse. You're kind of the opposite of what people think.
See that?
It's very true. You're actually a very intelligent man. And I think that it just goes to show when you look at your career, how you've marketed yourself and how you've made yourself like a cultural icon from what you do. And speaking of good publicity, we've actually been looking at a story that this came all the way out here to Canada about how you're trying to save a tree in your neighborhood in Queens.
It was my tree.
It was your tree. Yeah. What can you tell us about that? And is there any progress with your tree?
Well, what happened when my dad and the family moved out of Bayside, Queens, he moved to Flushing. And then my sister went to Colorado. My brother went to Nashville, Tennessee. The tree, when we sold the house, nobody wanted the neighbor, the people who were taking over the house. I said, Joe, could you please take care of the tree? I feel bad because the tree is theoretically theirs. It's in their plot. But they did me the courtesy of let me take care of it. So when I had to get an orkin man for carpenter ants, when I had to do, remove some graffiti, when I had to do, it withstood two hurricanes, one small tornado.
Right.
I did this little tree, and I hug it every time I'm in New York. It was a thing I would always do, because that tree, me, and my home are all the exact same age to the day. Is that
Because it was
crazy?
planted the day
My
you were
dad, my
born.
dad planted the tree the day I was born,
Yeah.
and then they moved out a little bit later. And the Parks Department, whenever it wanted to, cut down the tree, we wouldn't let them do it. You know, one time I even strapped myself, and my dad, after criticizing me, he was alongside me. I thought it was great. And then I would continue to spend years and years throwing acorns down at people and just doing fun things, And me and that tree had and if you look at the documentary of my life, which was on Showtime, they said it did really well. There are 10 extra scenes that are not in the bulk of the movie, and one of those bulks is me and the tree, and me giving
Oh,
you a
wow.
big hug.
Hey, I'm his manager, Dante. So just to answer, I just got a email just now. Someone told me that the tree is sadly going to be cut down tomorrow.
Oh, no.
But he did have some people go through and get seedlings, so hopefully he can regrow it. And if there's anyone listening in that area and wants to go over, please give the hug a treat for Ronnie. And if anyone knows how to whittle, maybe you can make him something out of part of it.
Well, I like the fact that these guys want to try to grow the tree.
I love it.
Right, because now you have little clone seeds, so you could even have one.
These guys are they're botanists, and they know their stuff. And I was really excited when these guys called. I got contacted by a few people, but these guys seem to really know their stuff, And it's just, it's really, it's a bit of a heartbreak. I mean, because I feel now there's no one to hug the tree when its last legs, Yeah,
Right.
that was always such a thing I would do would be come to New York or Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, give a big hug, and then there you have it. Now there's no one to hug the tree, so it's going to go into the next life alone. But maybe if these seedlings,
Well, it will make you happy to know
some kind of energy. What?
It will make you happy to know that some people have actually sent me photos of them visiting the tree, such as a friend of mine who lives in nearby Queens. So he actually did physically hug the tree. So that may be a consolation for you.
I think the more the better. If it wasn't for this, quarantine, I'd be on a plane days ago. But
right.
I talked to my surgeon who, did my aorta operation, and it was very successful. He said, if you really, really have to go, but I'm not really a big fan of you flying. 3,000 miles.
Yeah, cross country, it's very far. Well, definitely we'll look for more updates on that. I want to go back a little bit in your history and talk about how you got started. You got started in Playgirl magazine, correct?
Correct. Yep, it was 1978, October. Coincidentally, and this is kind of bizarre, John Ritter was on the cover. It was skimpy. The celebrities like John would be skimpy, Burt Reynolds, But of course, I was a little bit more than skimpy. I was showing it. And October 1978 was the issue that they've been selling the heck out of it, that I first appeared nude. And after Playgirl, it led to other work because the directors said that, okay, I didn't have an ounce of fat on those days. I was really in really good shape.
Right.
And so I got work, doing, at first I approached a guy named Joe to see if he can use an actor. He said, I'm mostly doing adult right now because back then they shot film,
right,
not video. And so he said, come on and try, being in that movie. So it was called All About, Gloria Leonard. And then I did the next one after that, which was called Tigresses and Other Man-Eaters. Tigresses and Other Man-Eaters.
That provocative title.
Yeah, that's the next thing I did. That was my first movie. And I worked with Samantha Fox. Tigresses and Other Man-Eaters. And coincidentally, Samantha Fox passed away, sadly, this week. Yeah.
This week, really?
And
Rest in
kind
peace.
Of strange. John Ritter and I both had aortic dissections. I survived mine, and John Ritter did not survive his. So it's
wow.
And then he was on the cover. I was further back in the magazine. And now you see what happens. 40 years later. 40 years later, and now John Ritter passed away. Jerry Buss from the Lakers passed away. I survived. So I'm very grateful for karma, good luck, and a great surgeon, Dr. Amir Shaw.
Unbelievable. Yeah, we're certainly happy to have you here still with us. So question for you.
Me too.
Of course. So are you still actively doing adult films now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, look, it goes like this.
When's the last one that you did?
I forgot to make this thing Jewish. Okay, good. Okay.
There you go.
Circumcision jokes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. What were we saying?
What was the last adult film that you did? How recent was it? Was it over a week or a month?
Gas Man. What was this?
Gas Mask Girl.
Yeah.
We do those almost every month. So about 2.5 months ago was the last one, right as the quarantine started.
Wow.
Well, we got just I think before the quarantine, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. Gas Mask Girl. It's a cute series. They hire really cute girls and they do fun dialogue, and there you have it. So I am still working.
He's also making Cougar King, takeoff of Tiger King soon.
Oh, is that right? With Ron Jeremy. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a reverse Cougar actually, because it's not the older woman and the younger boy. It's the older man and the younger woman. You know.
So I guess the Tiger King is right. Other than with him, it wasn't a woman, but with you, of course, it is.
Right. I make a joke about that. It was a joke that was going around after Tiger Woods got caught, being a little too playful. He said,
Right.
"Well, it goes to show you, he's not a tiger. He's a cougar. Or actually, he's not a tiger. He's a cheetah."
Right. Of course. So let me ask you this.
Some bang. He'll say, "Here, nice joke, Ron."
Let me ask you this about porn, because we talked a little bit about Playgirl. Of course, that was people paying for pornography. It seems like that started to go away for a while, but now it seems like it's coming back. You see a lot of girls having their OnlyFans accounts and stuff like that. Do you think that something like OnlyFans is going to bring paying for porn back even more? What are your thoughts on that?
I think the business is going to go a little more of not doing as well, because right now you don't really need men. And all the top guys aren't really working right now, because the girls carry around a cam or their big computer. Hi, look, Bob's here. Bob, say hello. And they'll talk. Bob, this is Mary. Look at this. Oh, you rub it against each other. Like, oh, look at the nice underwear you got. Oh, that's really pretty. I mean, they do things for a girl by herself. See, so and they do the cams. So they're doing really well with that, from what I understand. The guys are gradually becoming unemployed. I mean, if you want to have a nice storyline with hardcore and like a real movie with sex in it, then yeah, they'll keep doing that, and they can. But there are those who are going to want to see a nice storyline or virtual reality. That was I shot 40 scenes of virtual reality.
Really?
And now it's still they're just waiting to release it. There are great scenes too. You really feel like you're there. That virtual reality really works. Yeah, so.
Did you ever imagine you'd be doing virtual reality pornography when you started? I mean, that must be insane for you.
Yeah, you never know. You never knew what was going to go on. Technology is so important in this industry. It's crazy,
It's true.
So you never know what's up next. Because remember, we had feature film, then it was 60 millimeter, 35 millimeter, video, DVD, VHS.
Streaming now, Netflix.
Yeah, right. All that.
It's
stuff,
unbelievable. Yeah. So you feel like the stuff with just the girls.
Porn was always on the forefront of, was always on the forefront of technology. It always has been. The experimental medium was porn.
Always.
This is true, and that's sort of from the dawn of when cameras were even introduced. If you think about it.
That's true. That's true.
100%. So do you feel like there could ever be, given that it almost seems like you're saying men are being phased out of certain parts of pornography, do you think there'll ever be another legendary male porn star?
Like me? Let me fix this. No way!
Irreplaceable.
Well, AVN called me top 10, what was it? The top 20 and number 1 of all time. They had me as number 1, Jenna Jameson number 2, John Holmes number 3, and those top 3. And after that, it branches off, But I put in my 40 years worth, And
exactly.
A lot of good time. But it's funny, a lot of the guys who are the regular guys, a lot of them are not working anymore. Herschel Savage, Tom Byron. I don't know if Tommy Gunn still does. He may be. What's his name? The guy you work with?
Who?
Oh, Joe.
You mean are you talking about?
Pirates.
Oh, Evan Stone.
Evan Stone. Don Fernando, I think, is not working anymore. I can go right down the list. Most of the guys are.
Who's the big one? That was like number 3. He did gay porn also.
Oh, Stryker?
No, the other guy. The big one. He gave gay porn, but said he wasn't gay.
Oh, Peter North.
Yeah, Peter.
Yeah, he
Right.
That's right. He's not doing scenes anymore either. No, Randy West stopped. Yeah, all the guys. I'm the only one, I think, with maybe one or two others, who are still working. And I was in the early age of the golden age of porn.
Wow.
And I'm like the only guy left.
And Evan works
Well,
here and there.
Evan, I think he does do sex once in a while, right?
With you.
Well, that's right. We did a threesome. That's right.
Oh, you did. There you go. That was misleading for a second.
When you get to be our age, you go like this, you know.
Right.
He's up, and he's happy. Thank you.
And you've never used Viagra, right? You've maintained that throughout your whole career.
I endorse a really good product that's called Superbalife.
Okay.
Superbalife. Yeah. And then they have me as the sexpillguru.com. So they rate and judge and figure out which products are good, which are not so good. And it's either the Viagra might be better than Cialis, might be better than Viagra, or, so this company, Superbalife, they rate them, judge them, see which are the best,
Right.
Other than that, the three that are FDA approved are Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra. Others are often very good and they work as well.
So are there actual pills that because you see the penis enlargement pills, does that actually work in terms of enlarging the penis?
It's a combination, yes, kind of, and also it makes you large in the soft stage. So while you're dangling bigger.
That's the brand promise.
Well, look at this way. Look, there's this new product where you rub it, this cream on your dick, and your dick gets bigger. So I asked the owner of the company, well, yeah, but then wouldn't your hand get bigger?
Right.
That was
Same
a joke,
cells.
by the way. That whole thing was a joke. Yeah.
Right.
But yes, they do work. They do work. A lot of them are very herbal. They say beer makes you horny sometimes because it's got hops, barley corn, and stuff.
Yeah, I think I might have heard that actually. So in terms of the porn industry, what would you say, Ron, is the biggest misconception about porn? The biggest thing that people would think that maybe isn't true? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear all that noise.
Okay, so say it again.
No problem, Ron. I was just saying, in your view, in terms of the industry, what would you say is the biggest misconception about porn?
That we comb the parking lots and parks, try to recruit girls. That's one that was always good. That we go out to recruit. Anyone who knows the industry knows that you don't have to go recruit nothing because they line up. These are girls who are lining up at the door to see the top agents. It's Mark Spiegler, LA Direct Models, World Modeling.
Right.
All these different companies. These girls are answering ads in papers, and they're going to the agency to sign up. So this misconception that we have to try hard to get women, or that or be coercive or go to parking lots or parks. It's not true. Absolutely not true. There's no shortage of talent. For every girl that works in a movie, there's probably 10 who wanted that part.
Really? So it's really easy, and you get a lot of people just sort of lining up at the door, especially I would assume in a place like LA, right?
Lining up at the door is a little bit of an exaggeration, but no, they are going and answering ads in the paper. They'll say, "Oh, I want to try this. I heard this agent is good," and they have the award shows, the AVN shows, the XOCO, the Night Moves, and these are very popular, and it gives a chance for the girls to meet the producers and vice versa. And there you have it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess it's
kind of it runs like a regular movie in a way. You see the casting agents like CAA, William Morris, ICM, whatever.
Right.
And not in this particular world, but then they get you work. Often they do a thing called packaging, where they say, "Look, I know you want Tom Cruise, but if you're gonna get him, then take this actor we have here. We're trying to get him work." It's like, and they do the same thing in porn. They'll say, "We want this girl or guy to get some work. So if you use them, we'll then take your client who's not working a lot as a favor, whatever."
Right. Okay. So to try to get the actors.
What?
To try to get all the hottest actors in interchangeable roles.
Right.
Right. That's really interesting.
Yes.
So
Oh,
you've
yeah. And it makes sense too, you know. We know you want this girl, but when we give you her, but you gotta also use her because she's not getting enough work. See?
right. Exactly. Yeah. A mutual thing.
Everybody's happy. Packaging is not really allowed too much in the regular world of movies, but in our world, nobody really cares.
Right.
In fact, the funny thing is, the more valuable girl is one who does not have a lot of experience. People want the new face, the new girl. See, so you think about it, you know, there's probably more value with a girl who's not been, you know, had any work yet. But then she's brand new, fresh, right off the bus, yeah, the bang bus, right off the bus, you know.
Right. No, that completely makes sense. But see, this is interesting. This is stuff that I would have never guessed.
I want you to be interested.
Absolutely, man. You're delivering. So in terms of all the women you've been with, I mean, you've done thousands and thousands of scenes. Has there ever been a time Ron Jeremy's fallen in love? Has a girl ever stolen your heart?
A little bit, a
Okay.
little.
Can you tell us about that?
Ah,
Can you tell me about that?
in most of the cases, they were girls that I already had known and had a relationship with,
Okay.
you know. So it wasn't like I met them while in the industry. I knew them kind of beforehand. But yet, being on an overnight, being in Mexico, doing things out of town, you start to maybe have feelings.
Right.
And relationships could start. You got to be a little bit careful because if you're having much sex, you know, now or without the camera, then it makes it a little more difficult when the scene's happening.
Mm.
So they try to avoid it unless it's going to be behind the scenes. They're going to be, you
Oh.
know,
So you can include.
BTS. BTS is when the director sees he's directing over here, the couple that are being scripted, the story is, you know, all about. Then he looks like this happens all the time. Then he looks like this and goes, "What?" He sees some couple just going at it and goes, "That's hotter than what I was shooting," and that's the behind the scenes. So they keep going, guys, keep going, and then we're shooting what was this impromptu, you know. And then the
Right.
actors who are booked going, excuse me, hey, fuckface, that's my scene, you know. And it's funny because he just switched over because it was much hotter.
For the
Or
more
they'll shoot
natural
the
element.
BTS, and then they'll say, we have a couple of BTS scenes, and they really enjoyed doing that. There's a certain couple of years of porn movie making where the BTS was pretty important. They would do an interview. So how do you like being in your first movie, you know, or how do you like the guy you're working with, girl you're working with, you know, that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting because I guess it has more of a natural element to it.
Of course, exactly right. They're doing whatever they want to do. It doesn't have to fit into any script. You just see a cute girl, she's a cute guy, and they want to mess around. And in the way old days, like in the 1980s and 90s, no, actually 70s and 80s, they wouldn't want you to do it. They'd be afraid that you'd wear yourself out. They're afraid that, you know, that, oh, great, now the scene's starting, and look, you can't even get a boner. So they shied away from that. But then when the BTS started happening, and the actors were able to do that, have sex there, they just wouldn't climax. You want to save that. They would still do, you know, BTS.
Right.
Everything except for the pop shot. That you save for the scripted scene. You know, sounds a little something like, oh yeah, oh baby, here we go. Yeah. You know.
Well, do you remember the longest you ever went in a sex scene without busting?
Yes, 9 3/4 inches. That was the longest.
9 3/4 inches. Beautiful. What was the longest though? Like, because I'm sure you probably had to go for hours at a certain point without letting.
Not a lot.
No.
See, filmmakers are pretty smart. If you're going to do that to the actors, they won't give you really a great scene. You know, it won't look this bad, but it's kind of like reminds me of
checking the watch.
some bad. Yeah. The way I'll be feeling a couple hours from now. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I guess it's not like a super strenuous thing. I know we're close to our time limit. I just had one more question for you, and I was curious. There's a lot of guys out there who look up to you that have a lot of trouble with women, and I'm sure you get asked this question all the time. What do you tell guys when they ask you for advice with women?
Number one, be yourself. Two, be enthusiastic. When they've asked actors and actresses what you like the most, they usually say, you know, enthusiasm. They go, how do you like the technique of giving head? Enthusiasm. As long as you act like you really enjoy what you're doing, That's a big turn on for either one, guy, girl, because it's a turn on to see that you're really getting somebody going. And the other technique is at the comedy store make jokes. But Sam Kinison used to have a comedy say, if you want to make the girl like you, lick the alphabet. Just up, down, sideways, just lick the alphabet. You say, where did this guy learn this technique? So that's what you need to know. Just lick the alphabet.
And that's from Sam Kinison.
You just walk down like this. You just go like this, up and down, up and down. The girl will go, hey, am I getting licked or weatherproofed? I feel like I'm painting a fence. Yeah? Those things are cool. Come on, put a little variety in there. And climax, make sure the good climax is before you do.
Okay, that's a major key.
Yeah. Although Sam added on a thing I don't really agree with. It's it's good to give a girl really good head and make her come, but then it gives her the illusion that you care.
that's all from Sam Kinison?
That's a little too strong, yeah.
You guys were good friends back in the day.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
Yeah, incredible talent for sure. Well, Mr. Jeremy, I want to say thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else you want to share with my listeners about what's coming up in the future with you or where they can find you?
Well, hopefully the only thing coming up is my pants. Oh, great to be here. No, okay, let's see. No, you got it, which I appreciate. You got it. Yeah.
Awesome. Mr. Jeremy, thank you so much.
Gasman, RonJoey.com.
Yeah, Gas Mask Girl. They can check out his new videos coming up. And, of course, check out his cameos.
Yeah. And then, of
100%.
course, they're doing well. People are laughing at some of this.
Yeah, people love these cameos. They can send Ron for birthdays or whatever. It's
And
great.
if you want to know about the pills, sexpillguru.com.
Okay, we'll put all of this in the description so people can access it easily. Mr. Jeremy.